So let's start with the news. The Dodd-Frank bill became law.
Sure did.
It's intended, among other things, to reduce risk in our financial system. Do you think it will?
You know, I think the most important thing about the Dodd-Frank bill is that it's become law. I think that there was so much sort of uncertainty overhang that it's a good thing that it's done.
Right.
And I say that, Jeff, only partially true, because there's an enormous amount of rulemaking that now has to take place. And so there's a whole lot of continuing uncertainty. Do I think it's going to reduce risk? Yes, I think the bill addresses some of the gaps in the regulatory system that became evident during the financial crisis. Do I think it is ironclad to prevent another need? No, I don't think anyone could say that.
Right. Whenever you reduce risk, there's always a cost, right? Nothing's free.
Right.
What's the cost here?
Well, I think the cost is you always have a risk and growth trade-off. And one of the things that I think this country needs, one of the things I think this world needs, is more growth. And so to the extent that whether it's the government actions with the banks, whether it's any company, if you de-risk it too much, the growth is not going to be there. We need job growth and we need economic activity quite badly.
Right. You get a nice steady line that barely goes up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing, you know, and I spend a lot of time, as you know, around the world. We have practices in 140 countries and whatnot. We're seeing, you've heard it, I'm sure, this love recovery that people talk about, not L-O-V-E, L-U-V, and we're seeing it in spades. L-shaped across Europe. They've gone down a long way, stay flat for a good long time, I'm afraid.
Right.
U-shaped here, North America, V-shaped in the emerging markets. And so we're seeing that quite clearly.
What do you think will be the bottom line effect of this new law on the average investor and other users of financial statements?
You know, I don't think there's going to be dramatic impact on the investor or the users. I think that some have worried that on the margin there may be less credit available. That would not be a good thing. I'm sure both the regulatory framework and the institutions themselves will try hard not to have that be the outcome. I think, you know, a wild card still is what's the Consumer Protection Agency going to look like, because there's still a lot to be sort of decided and written around that.
Speaking of restatements, the new law includes, among many other things, a clawback provision on executive pay so that executives could be made to give back money if earlier results have to be restated. Do you think this will make CEOs even more interested in accounting than they are already?
Well, you know, I think that it makes sense. There is such a focus on the impact of compensation, not just the levels of it, but the incentives that are put in place or not put in place by the systems itself. You know, does it encourage short-term thinking or long-term thinking? Does it encourage risk-taking that's understood or other risks? And so I think that it's actually a quite logical reaction to what we've lived through. I don't think it's going to have a substantial impact on whether the CEOs love their accountants.